Hello and welcome back to our second tutorial in this series. We're making a white box world for our kind of smashy city game. At the moment we've got this scenario where I can move my character and hit this and it'll fall down. And so we've made that in class and all good. This next tutorial we're going to build on what we've got here. And in this tutorial we're going to do two things. We're going to make a tank. Now keep in mind we're not interested in art, we just want to make something simple. We're going to make a tank which is going to be sort of our non-player character, and we want that non-player character to follow our player and shoot at him. So if we have a quick look here, I just Wikipedia, the source of all incredible information. So this sentence here: artificial intelligence is intelligence exhibited by machines. And AI is all about perception. So there is no real AI. There's no such thing as artificial intelligence. Or it depends how you define intelligence, but in the real sense of intelligence as you and I possess it. Computers just follow instructions, and what we can do is we can make an object behave in such a way as to make it look like it's intelligent. So that's AI, is about making something behave in a predictable, logical manner. If the non-player character starts following me and then suddenly decides to blow itself up, but some of them do and some of them don't, as a player we go, what the hell's going on there? Or if they all start fighting among themselves and then they all start playing their own game while we're playing, that's not logical. So that's not AI. It could be AI, but not interesting AI. Anyway, so what we're going to try and do is create a set of behaviors, functions for the non-player character to make it look like it's smart and it knows what it's doing, when in fact it's just following some basic functions. So I'm going to add a cube, and I'm going to go into edit mode, and I am going to select the top of my cube using B, GZ minus GZ. Let's just move it down by I, and there we are there. Take the whole thing and just lift it up a fraction. I'm going to go Shift D, GZ, duplicate it, scale it down, scale it on Z, see what we've got in 3D. So I'm going to select just the bottom, so I'm going to press the L key, which is a nice handy tool, which is select linked vertices, scale on X, and then here I'm going to go in, I'm going to select my 4 verts here, and go E and then escape, S to scale, and then E to extrude. And I just realized I do not have screencasting on, so I apologize profusely. I'll put it on now. So screencasts, okay, I have it enabled, I just didn't turn it on. So there we go. So there's our tank, if we can call it a tank. It's a very basic shape. Now in the actual game we'll have, if you want, you can make a tank that the turret turns independently of the body and put lots of detail in, etc. But for a white box world, that's plenty of detail. Now I want this object to follow that object. So how do I do that? How do I do that in Blender? Well, Blender anticipates you needing to do that, and it has a function built in to do that. But let's just check. So this is a player. This is my cubes, that's my building, and I have, if I look at my outliner here, a ground, and this, we're going to call this tank, just so we know where everything is. As you start adding more and more objects to your game, you need to name them, because, like, for example, we need to know the tank needs to chase the player, so this needs to be called player. So how do I get one to follow the other? Well, I use this thing here called a steering brick. Now the steering brick is specifically made to have one object follow another, or move away from another. We have flee, and then we have path following. So if we wanted to do a patrol, so the tank's moving up and down following a path. So let's have a quick look at this brick. So what's my target? My target is my player. This is my relax distance, so this is the distance at which the tank will stop. Now, and it's set to 1. This is the default cube, so it has a scale of 2 by 2, and the origin of this is here. So 1 unit away from its origin is actually here, where the mouse is, not here at the outside. So this tank will actually, try and go inside this player. So we don't want that. So let's make this say 4. So it'll move within 4 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So around there, and it'll stop. This is its speed. Well, it's hard to know what does velocity tree mean. Well, we'll see when it starts moving. Acceleration. So that's basically how long it's going to take to get to this speed, and then the speed at which it can turn. And that becomes very important if you want to escape a non-player character, because you can turn probably much faster than it can. Again, we'll look at that at a later date. And this navigation mesh here, this is for path following, and it's more advanced functions that we'll look at another day. However, we do need to look at this. This tank is pointing positively on the y-axis, so we need to say facing is turned on, and we need to turn it positively on y. Now, how do we get this to work? Well, let's give it an always and see what happens. Okay, we press P, and it moves towards the player. Let's see what happens if we put this over here and go P. Yeah, it turns to go after the player. Excellent. Now, that's great, but what if I make this quite big and I put the tank over here, and now I press P? Well, that's a bit silly. If I have 20 tanks in my game, I don't want them all charging after my player. I want to wait till the player gets within a certain distance and then for the tank to come after it. So let's delete this here, this always sensor, and add in a near sensor. Now we could add in, there's another one, a radar sensor, which is kind of cool as well, so we could have it like sweep in front of itself, but let's just keep it simple for now and use near. Now the near sensor is it's an interesting sensor. This must be turned on here, so I've hit the player. This has nothing to do with the tank. In order for the tank to be able to see the player, it must be designated as an actor. So when I put the mouse over, it says object is detected by the near and radar sensor. So if that's not turned on, our near sensor won't work. So make sure, like when you turn it into a rigid body, that gets turned on by default, but if it's not working for some reason, maybe you turn that off. So we've turned this on, and we'll give it a distance of, I don't know, let's say 15. Now, if I can move faster than the tank, this distance here is the distance at which the tank will stop following me. So it should be bigger than this number here. So if I come within a range of 15, the tank will follow me. But if I escape, if I get 16 units away, then the tank doesn't see me anymore and I'm free. So let's hit P. And now I can move my character. And he's turned, but he's not moving towards me. In fact, I can tease and taunt the tank and he won't move towards me. Now why is that? And that's because this tank here is static. So I'm going to make it dynamic. I could make it a rigid body, and that would give it sort of really complicated physics, but it just needs to move, which is what dynamic is. So this is a much kind of linear physics, as it says there as a pop-up. It's a much simpler physics kind of engine. So now let's go P. It can't see me. I move towards it. It can see me, and now I'm going to try and get out of range. And now I'm out of range. They can't see me anymore. I go within range. He's going after me. Now, the obstacle will not block or will not stop the tank from seeing me. It's not smart. We haven't said like look through walls, don't look through walls, etc. So anyway, so you can see there that the near sensor works. So happy days. So we have now a non-player character that will follow our player. Excellent. That wasn't too hard. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to select a collision box and we'll make it mesh. So just follow the mesh. That's probably, you could probably leave it as a box. Yeah, anyway, we won't worry about it too much. Now, we want something else to happen. We want this to fire a bullet at our player. So how do we do that? Well, how you spawn and how you fire bullets and how you add objects into the game, it's always kind of the same. So I'm just going to zoom in here on my tank, and I'm going to put the cursor just in front. I'm going to add an empty. And there's the empty there. If it had been down here, I would just reposition it in front of the tank's turret. Now, what I want is I want this empty to move with the tank. So I'm just going to select the empty and then hold down the shift key and then right click. So this is bright orange and this is dark orange. This means this is the active object. Control P, make or set parent to object. Now what that means is when I move the tank, the empty moves too. And if we look over here, you'll see that the empty is basically inside the tank in the outliner. So I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call it firing pin. So that's where we're going to fire from. Now what are we going to fire? Well, let's make a bullet. So we're going to add a cube and scale it all the way down. Nice little small cube. Now I just want to show you something here. The scale of this cube, if I undo that, it starts with a scale of 1. And as I scale it down, it goes all the way down. I need to apply that scale. It's not something we've had to do before. So applying scale is Control A, apply, and then scale. And when I do that, these will all turn back to 1. Okay. If you don't do that, you get, won't get into the whole of specifics, but basically it will come in, it'll be absolutely minuscule when it's spawned into the game. So you have to apply the scale. So I'm going to call this bullet. Again, we need to know the names of things. And then I'm going to move it to layer 2. So I press M and then click on this one here. So there's my bullet. And there's my tank. So I'm going to select here and I want to fire. So fire is edit object. And by default, edit object is add object. So I'll call this fire. And what do I want to fire? I want to fire my bullet. Now, we haven't really done this, so this is kind of cool. This here is the duration of the new object, so how long it's going to live. Now, if I keep firing bullets into the game, I'll end up with thousands of bullets in the game, and I'll slow the computer down. So, in Blender, we are running at 60 frames a second. So, every second is 60. So if we want the bullets to last maybe 3 seconds, we'd put in 180, because 3 60s are 180. So for time, I'm going to put in 180. And I want to fire them positively on the y-axis. So I'm going to give them, say, 10. Now the one thing I haven't done, and I'm going to go over to layer 2. This bullet here needs to be dynamic, and you see the way its collision has changed there. I want to make it a box. Okay, so there it is. Let's go back to layer 1. Now how do I fire it? So let's put in an always sensor and see what craziness happens. So let's go P. Okay, so P. So it fired at me, and even though I've got always, it's not firing at me anymore. It stopped firing. even though that says always. So let's examine this a little bit more. So always doesn't mean always. Always means that this is active always, but we haven't told it how often to fire. And how we do that is using these controls here. It's quite a simple and powerful system. So if I put this over here, it says true. So when it's true, every, let's say second, I'm going to type in 60. So every 60 frames, every second, make this true. So I'm going to fire, that's my rate of fire. So let's make it something stupid like 6. Okay, and now I can't escape, can I? I can. And you can see that it's weird things are happening. It's firing the bullets at itself and doing all sorts of weird things. So let's have a look at this. So we said the linear velocity of the bullet should be added at a velocity of 10 on the y-axis, but we never clicked L for local. So now when I hit P and I run away, it's firing always in my direction. Oh, let me get away. There we go. And it's always good when you can move faster than the bullets. And you can see the bullets start to disappear because they only last for 3 seconds. And then they disappear. Okay, so that's it. We're not going to work on, if we get time in class, we get all this done, we'll work on scoring and all sorts of other things. Stuff that we've kind of covered in Pong, like, so you should be able to now set up a head-up display and have a score, and when this bullet hits the player, I get a score, or it kills the player, or if you can work it out, if you have a number, maybe not start at 0, start maybe at 3, and then instead of getting a plus number when I get hit, maybe I get a minus number, and that's my health going down. But all these things we'll cover in future classes. We'll do healths and scoring, etc. But what we have now is we have a prototype game, and in our prototype game I've got a bad guy who fires and follows my player with a ridiculous rate of fire. So in the game we'll probably have that at, I don't know, 120, so he's firing every 2 seconds. Now what we can also do is we can say, and we're not going to worry about it now, but in the same way we said with our near sensor, we can say only fire at a certain distance. We can do that with the empty. We can say only when the character is in range should you fire, and that way what we would do then is we would combine the near sensor and the always sensor. So let's do that now. Let's have proximity fire. So first of all, let's select the tank and change our distances here from 15 to say 10. For this we're going to add in the near sensor. We'll set this to 9, and these both have to be true together. We'll set this to 10. Now we've one extra thing to do, and that is we need to give this a property, any property. So I'm going to call this player, and over here on my empty I'm going to say when I'm within 9 of the property player, then fire. I'm going to do the same here. Only when I'm near something with the property player. So let's go P, and I'm out of range. I'm in range. He's firing at me. Oh dear. Let's get out of range. The map is not big enough. Genuinely, I cannot see where I'm going. I genuinely think the map may not be big. Oh, no, I made it, and I also died. But you can see right now that the tank has stopped, and it stopped firing, because I am definitely out of range. Alright, so that's how we do basic sort of AI. So we have a non-player character, and the non-player character is a tank, and it will follow my character, and it will fire bullets at the character when the character is within range. Okay, see if you can do that.